And we're live. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Breathe Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. It's round 3, fellas.
Round 3.
Let's go.
Round 3.
Come on.
Big out here.
Our time's a charm.
Yeah. That's right. It's just crazy looking back and you know the trajectory that you guys are headed in and how much work you put in such a small period of time. But it's exciting to see you. I'm glad you're here. Finally in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. It's been a short time, but it's been a lot in a short time.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday.
Yeah.
It does. So Basement East tomorrow, first show in Nashville, sold out, to be expected. How are you feeling? How are we feeling being in Music City?
It feels good, man. It feels blessed. We've been wanting to, at least me, I've been wanting to play here for a long time. So, and thankfully we're also here on other business. We get to go to the Grand Ole Opry tonight, so it's pretty sick. So that's always been a bucket list place of mine to play, so it'll be cool to check it out. Maybe we'll get the chance to come back here and play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that because I went and got to see Turnpike at the Ryman this past week. They did 3 shows in a row.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was sick.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
To go 3 in a row there is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, they deserve it, 100%. I mean, those guys are fucking rock stars.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody wanted them back. They came back, and they're coming back in full force, so that's awesome to see.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it was, the show itself was crazy. To see that place rocking too, like people were going nuts. So I was like, damn.
Yeah, I saw you win.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
Sweet.
But, I mean, who knows? Near future.
We'll see, man. That's another one.
Future.
That's
It's
another
Ryan.
one.
Hey, big sweet.
I think it's in the cards. I'm calling it here. You guys heard it here first. I've been saying it for a while. You know, you start believing me now. But the Ryman, treat you up with the Ryman. I like it. I like the ring. So I was looking back. First interview was in October of 2020. At that point, y'all had one song. One song.
Yeah.
And now, 1.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. I mean, that is a crazy turnaround in a short period of time. How has it felt to ride that wave?
We've come a long way, man. It took a hell of a long time, a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of time on the road. But man, honestly, I feel like everybody else did all the work. Like the fans are the ones who did all the work. So we just have let the music speak for itself, so to speak. I mean, we really haven't done anything crazy or viral to
Yeah,
the music.
it's hard
It's
hard to make viral things happen.
We got to let the music and the show speak for itself. So, and thankfully, just people have done nothing but be supportive. So it's felt great, man. It still feels like a fucking dream sometimes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's how it felt. I mean, we were at Canty's last Friday, and that was our first time out there, and we sold it out, and that was pretty unreal. It was like, we got there, and we knew ticket numbers were, doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, we're in the middle of sound check. Our team Blake comes up. He's like, hey, they just let me just pass 1,500. It's like, okay, so we might sell this out. We're about 6 hours away from doors open. So, and then probably, an hour within the first hour of doors open, it was the last 100 tickets ended up selling through walk-ins. And so we got to play to a fantastic and wild crowd. I mean, it was just, the whole show was a blast. And just when you have, crowds like that, just the energy is just flowing in the room, and you can just work off of each other and go nuts, and everybody, you could just have a blast.
Yeah, and everyone's like, for some kids from a small town in Texas to come do something like that, or a venue like that in Oklahoma is unheard of. So like when you hear stuff like that, you're like, damn, what are we doing, man? It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Well, it goes to say, I would say Oklahoma is one of our best states for doing shows out there. I mean, every time we've been out in Oklahoma, people just show up, and we just feel the love. And so it's awesome to see, especially out of state, having places you can go where, they just embrace you, and they're like, welcome into the community, so that's like, for us, that helps us just be like, all right, we can do this. We're all here together. Let's go. we just can get into a show and everybody can have fun. Just forget about anything for about an hour and a half. It's like, and that's the point. We go out to shows and anything. It's like you want to forget about the crappy work week you had or that last Friday that your boss pissed you off. And it's like I just want to go out and have fun tonight. That's what we hope to do for anybody who comes to shows. Like just come have fun for hour and a half with us and like forget about everything else for a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are starting to build that really loyal, almost like cult following. It kind of reminds me, I was watching that Jelly Roll documentary the other day on Hulu, and it's just like listening to some of the people that like he's affected and the way that they really resonate with the music. It sounds like and looks like people are really clean to that with y'all. What do you think it is with the music that's really like building that, feeling of togetherness or something that they kind of can relate to and really become a real fan? Because that seems like it's what y'all are building, real fans.
Yeah, I think it's just, not to sound corny, but I think the music is, when I wrote it, it came from a place of, being in a really bad spot. And for me, at least, music is therapeutic. Like it's one of the ways that, if I'm not feeling good, like if I'm down in the dumps, I can write a song and put those feelings on paper. And once I do that, it's like, okay, that's off my chest. So, and I don't know, I guess that kind of adds some authenticity to it. So maybe people hear that and they resonate it with, they're like, oh, well, maybe I've felt this way for a long time. I'm not the only person who feels that way. This guy feels that way. And then when you have millions of people who resonate the same way with that music, then they can come to a show and be like, all these people feel the exact same way about this music. So they probably are the exact same way as me. And that's one of the things I've kind of started making a point to, tell people at shows is be like, this song, because we get messages every day, like how people say, this song saved my life, or this song helped me get through this and that. And it's like, I try to make it a point to tell people, it's like, we're all in this together. Like, you ain't got to feel alone with that kind of shit. Like, there are other people out here who feel the exact same way. And I think when people resonate with that, then that creates that tight knit,
Yeah. How does that feel to get messages like that? I mean, obviously you guys have this dream of, building up and becoming this huge band, which you're on your way doing, but to get a message like that, it's just so much bigger than the music. Like, what does that feel like to know that you're making that impact on people?
It feels like I shouldn't be responsible for that sometimes. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's like, man, I'm just like you. Like I'm not some person who's above you in any way. Like I'm just a regular guy. This is how I feel. But we do have a platform now, and I think people who have a platform, if you're gonna have a platform, at least use it to do some good for some people. So, and that's all I tell people when they tell me that kind of stuff. I just say, that's what it's there for. Like, I have this platform. I'm gonna make some stuff that means something to somebody if I can. If it can change a life, if it can make somebody think a different way, if it can pull somebody out of a dark spot, then I know I did something for somebody besides myself, which I think is should be anybody's job when you are doing something like music, is to do some good with it. So.
Yeah. A big part of that too is, like you said, the lyrics, like writing, coming from a place of that raw emotion that you felt at that moment. If I remember correctly, you wrote "No Vacancy" in a parking lot of a hotel in Fredericksburg, Texas, right? And this ended up becoming the name of your debut album, and then also one of your biggest songs to date. Kind of put you on the map. Put us in that time and place where you're sitting there writing this song that obviously evokes a lot of raw emotion.
Yeah, so I used to work in the oil and gas business, and being in that business, I was having to travel all over the place. I spent time working in Colorado, Oklahoma, New Mexico, West Texas, South Texas,
Central Texas.
And places where the places they would send you, they would tell you like, oh, you're gonna be near Oklahoma City, or you're gonna be near this big city. But you're really not. Really, you're in a place that's an hour away from that city, that's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And you're out on the road, you're away from your friends, you're away from your family, and it gets really, really lonely, man. And especially being in a hotel room by yourself there's not a whole lot to do.
Right.
except like call your friends
Yeah.
and see how they're doing. And so that's what I would do every day is I get off work and I wouldn't have anybody to talk to, so I just call somebody on the phone. And you know, obviously this was back when I was drinking pretty heavily, so I was drinking a lot and talking to friends, and just kind of in that moment, like when you would hang up that phone, it's like, all right, like I'm back to being by myself. And I was just like, man, that feeling that loneliness is so powerful.
Yeah.
That I was just like, there's got to be something in that. And, you know, I didn't have a girlfriend or a significant other at the time either. So it just, it was very lonely was how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And very lonely and very drunk. So, and it was one of those things where, you know, it just comes to you. And I think the first line that I thought of for the song that I built around it was like a sinner left sitting on Judgment Day. Like I was like, man, how lonely does that feel? Like the rapture happens and you're sitting there and all the
everybody else is gone.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was one of those things where it was a song about being lonely, man, and it wound up doing really well. And I never thought it would.
Yeah. Well, that one. Like we've mentioned it before, but it was, you know, we were coming close to, you know, wrapping up that first album. We were like, man, we need one more song. We had, you know, it was like at that point, like an 8-song album with like, you know, or a 6 or 7-song album. Like, cause it ended up like, you know, turning out, we were like, we need one more. And we were like sitting there and we've been kind of like messing around with a few things. And Sam was like, I just started writing this like last week, you know, come with it. You know, we kind of had, I think, pretty much kind of like part of the chorus and I think like part of the first verse and maybe part of the second verse. And we just started, you know, writing on that. And we were like, all right, cool, like filler song, we got it. Then finish out the album, and then you know, and then we continued to write on it. And then like as we, you know, saw the nature of that song, we kind of saw that all these other songs, like even though a lot of them can sound very different from one to the other, you know, it was kind of like all these songs were different people in a hotel room, you know, or in a motel, like, you know, where you're sitting. It's all filled with these people and these songs because everyone's going through, you know, something different, and it looks different and sounds different. And so it kind of became this thing of like, yeah, we're all here in this hotel together. We may not all look the same or do the same thing, but we're all going through, you know, something. And like that just kind of like, we're like, we didn't intend to write any sort of concept or anything, but it kind of ended up turning out that way. But
and that's the thing with music too, like you never go into it thinking like, all right, today I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna write No Vacancy. Today I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna write a hit song. You know, it's just one of those things where it just happens, and whatever one does the best is up to the interpreter, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, even just like thinking about getting ready for this next album coming out, we just got done recording it and sent the files off and everything. So it's going to be getting mixed and mastered over the next little bit. And, you know, it's like going through and listening to those songs and being like, we're talking about like which ones are our favorites. And like at the beginning of the process, we were like, man, I didn't even like that song. And now it's my favorite song on the record. Like, yeah, and it's, you know, it was the whole, like, I think it was through writing, and then we went through a time where we had changed drummers. And so it was like, that was in the middle of like the first time trying to record the album. And so it was like, you know, we kept going and going, and so many changes ended up happening to it that, I mean, even a week before we went in to record the drums, I think we rewrote like 70% of the album.
Wow.
Like, I think 7 out of 10 songs almost got completely like restructured, and like chord changes, melody changes, because like we've been playing it. And some of the songs we've been playing, you know, 6 months or a year. You know, obviously it's been a while since we put anything out, but it's like, I mean, we want people to know it's like some of these songs we've been working on for a long time, and they've just changed and grown with us as we've changed and grown to figure out, you know, what do we want it to sound like? You know, what do we want it to feel like within, you know, just the listening process? And then, you know, how do we write related to, you know, what the song is actually about or what it's speaking on? And so that's been just a huge part of why it's taken so long to get this second record out.
Yeah, for those who are listening for the first time and they haven't kind of heard your sound, I know we've talked in the past about how it's just this fusion, right? It's not country really, it's not rock and roll, it's just you, right? It's something that resonates with you, it's unique. And so you talked a little bit about, that process of these songs you have and you wiped them, you changed them, and y'all two really bounce off of each other in that iterative process of writing music and kind of that creative process. So where for each of you individually do some of those ideas flow, that creativity? And, is there a specific place? Is there something, that you're doing, or is it kind of just a strike of the match moment where, that creativity really sparks and hits for you?
Man, it can really be anything. I mean, we've written songs off of just something that he's playing in the room, and I say, oh, I like that. And then you can take that instrumental and write lyrics to it. Or maybe it's through life experiences too. Like sometimes you'll see a situation in life, or I can come up with like I said, when I was writing No Vacancy, I come up with that one line. You just take it and then you have your foundation and then you build a house out of it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how it is. I mean, you can take inspiration from anything in life. I think that goes beyond music. So
yeah. I think with us, when it comes to writing, I think especially Sam and I can be pretty creative on our own, but man, when we're really with the rest of our band, that's when, those other creative ideas from different musical backgrounds, someone will be playing something, Jeremiah could be just playing a random lick, and then, Andrew might be like, whoa, hey, what was that? And it's like, I don't know, I was just messing around. You're like, well, hey, let's figure that out then. It's like, different things, or we may be like in one of our songs on this record, we were working through the bridge section, and we had paused for a second. We were talking, and Jeremiah was just noodling away on the guitar, and Sam was like, whoa, stop. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just messing around. He's like, I was just playing a little thing, and it was, he was playing in the same key and everything, and we were like, throw that on the bridge with us. And it's just like those little things where, someone doesn't even realize they're being extremely creative and musical. They're just messing around, and you're like, that's the part that made it just like whole.
A lot of it, I would say, definitely depends on who's in the room at the time. Because there are some times where I've written songs where just somebody being in the room helps you kind of get through it. Or even if they, they don't even have to really contribute much, as long as they kind of try to say something to walk you through that process, it helps a lot. So, and like I said, that translates beyond music. I mean, if you have a good team around you, there's going to be ideas coming from everywhere. Yeah. So, you're not on your own just coming up with your own shit.
That's extremely important in life, in music, and in, just in life as well. It's having those outside perspectives and people from different backgrounds and experiences to be able to give you insights that you could never have because you weren't, brought up in that place, and you didn't go through those experiences. And, some experiences you definitely don't want to go through to feel that. But, it's, those feelings and emotions are extremely important and valid. So it's like having someone in the room, who can speak on those and be like, hey man, I've been through that experience before, I can tell you how I felt, going through that. And that can help, just figure out man, we were approaching this from a completely wrong angle. We should have been coming from this angle. And then, it's those little things where you make little, perception changes, or pendulum just swings the right way, and you get to see it in a new light. And, a lot of times that's how things make sense.
Yeah. I feel like there's not enough of that today. Everyone's so silo focused on this one way of thinking or one perspective, and most of us just live our lives based on our own experiences, because who can blame us, right?
Absolutely.
That's our reality. Our reality is the lens at which we're looking at the world. So how can you expand that if you're not willing to hear other people speak their opinion, or even better, if it's somewhere you want to go and that person has gone there? Sure, that's even better, right? You want to know what not to do or what they did good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And this new album that we're putting out, a lot of it, you know, the first album was very personal, like personal stories from my life, but the second one I really wanted to try to challenge at least myself writing wise to speak on some experiences that weren't my own. And a lot of that was I was pulling ideas for songs from, you know, other people's experiences in my life. So a lot of these songs I would call up certain people, like be like, oh, he's been through that before, or this person has been through that before. Calling them up, kind of taking notes, being like, hey, you know, how was that? What were you feeling? You know, tell me a story, you know, that maybe stood out. And then pulling from that, you got some really cool shit out of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, that's just like another thing, like within our writing is like so much of it, our songs are, you know, there's stories about, you know, someone going through something. And I think, like you said earlier, you asked me what attaches people to some of our music. I think that might be one of the things is like, you know, where, like you said, people go, man, that song really helped me get through that. Or, you know, I just went through that breakup because I was calling my ex or she was calling me, all this, you know. It's, you know, it's like these songs we write, so many of them are personal experiences or family or friends' personal experiences. It's like we're just writing life stories, you know, with our music, and like, because that's how we feel like we can connect to the songs is because, you know, that's real life.
And that's what we felt when we heard the story as well.
Yeah.
There's an art to it. There's an art to storytelling. It's a skill. Like it has to be, you know, fine-tuned. Like you said, you go back, you think you might have something, and just kidding, let me tweak it here and there.
Yeah.
And it's just like this work of art that's constantly being changed and moved around. But storytelling in itself is, I mean, it's life, right? It's what we've done for the longest time. We've got the Bible, all these other books that are written. It's storytelling that's passed on, right? So it's pretty crazy to like look at it from that way and think of it not as just something that we do to pass time and keep memories, so it really is a skill that can get your point across to so many people, as y'all are seeing.
Yeah, surprisingly, we didn't expect it to get this far this quick, but I'm being proud and, you know, appreciate everybody who's been along with us on this journey. So
yeah, I think the main thing too, like especially that kind of challenges us as artists, is especially in music, a lot of the same stories are told quite often in many different songs, and it's, for us, it's kind of like, how can you take that same story and put a little bit of a fresh spin on things? Yeah. So, and we've kind of tried to do that, especially in this next record. I think we tried to focus on that as much as we could, just to kind of set it aside from others.
Yeah, you had mentioned in one of our previous shows, you know, taking the goal of 15 minutes a day to write down, you know, some songs or even ideas, poems, thoughts, just things that come out. And I talk about it a lot. You know, it's a good practice for a lot of people to get into, especially if you're feeling some type of like anxiety, depression, or any type of emotion really you get in your head, right? And a lot of those times, like you said, it's so nice to just let those thoughts kind of flow out onto the paper. Are you still practicing something like that?
I've kind of taken a break because, you know, it was like definitely essential to getting this album out in the time frame that it has taken us. That, you know, basically as soon as the last project was done, you start working on the next one. Even like while you're still working on the first one, you need to be working on the next one. Yeah. That's just how it goes. But at the same time, kind of now, I kind of want to take a little bit of a break, especially now that we're so busy and we're going to so many places and experiencing such new things. I kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to actually go out and have some new experiences for myself.
Yeah, of course.
Because, I mean, the writing constantly has definitely made me a better songwriter. Like, it's how a song is structured, rhyme schemes, flows, stuff like that. It's definitely helped with that. But I think now you need to take some time to go out and live a little bit. And then when you are ready to start writing, you have some stuff to write about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And it's perfect time because we're going to places like Nashville, you know, Arkansas, St. Louis, Missouri, those types of places. Plenty of things to experience.
Yeah, and a lot of us, you know, our first time in a lot of these places like this is my first time in Nashville.
Oh man.
So I've been wanting to come for a long time, but, you know, due to work and life, you know, it hasn't been an option. And as, you know, as long as we've been doing this together, you know, for the past 2.5, 3 years that we've been doing it, I basically have said no to, you know, a lot of things of like personal, like, you know, let's go on this trip or whatever, but it's like, no, I want to focus on this music. I want to focus on this band. I remember even, 2 years ago at this point, Sam and I were driving to a gig, and like I had gotten a job offer doing IT work for a petroleum company in town. Really good money, especially compared to what I was making at the time. And like I was talking with Sam and I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, this is a really good job opportunity.
Yeah.
I was like, it's something that I could get in and I could work there for the rest of my life, And Sam was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. He's like, you're your own man. He's like, you want to do that, go for it. He's like, you want to stay? He's like, I didn't think you were leaving. It's like, and I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to do that IT job. Like, even though, at that point, we weren't even paying ourselves yet for music. We were, we went 2 full years with nothing. It was, all we did was just pour it right back into the business because it was like, well, hey, we need to be able to purchase things like an in-ear system or whatever, all this stuff that like cables, guitar strings, all these things that like you need for all these shows. It's like, it costs tens of thousands of dollars. And so it's like, hey, yeah, we can pay us a little bit or we can just save it all and be able to actually get, quality equipment that worked for us. And like, that was the route that we decided to take and I don't regret it, but it was definitely, especially the second year into the second year, it was like, man, this is rough. Like, we're gone every single weekend and there's like, for us personally, there's nothing to show for it outside of, the music, which is like, it sucks when your parents are like, so how much are you making now with that music thing? I'm like, I'm not making any money yet. And they're like, yeah, it's like, it's hard business out there. I'm like, yeah, it is. But, it's like those little things with just like how we decided to do that.
It has been a hard road to get here, man, on all of us. Like, it's been hard on us financially. It's been hard with, on relationships, friendships, jobs. It's been, I've been in several relationships throughout this entire thing, and it was hard on them to the point where, I had to either choose the person or the music, and I had to choose the music because I had so much faith in it. I was like, this can get to where I want it to be, and, sometimes people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And thankfully now I'm married to a woman who understands that for the most part, and it's still hard sometimes. But thankfully now we're to a point where it's comfortable enough to where we can go back to living that kind of life again. And the friends who stuck around are still here, and the people who stuck around are still here. And those are the people that I want in my circle really anyway, because those are the people who have always truly believed in the dream and the goal. But yeah, it has been hard to get to where we're at, and there always was that gray area where it's kind of like do I turn and run back the other way, or do I close my eyes and take the jump? And thankfully, the people who have stuck to this, we took that jump and it worked. Yeah. The Lord will.
Yeah. I was watching a video the other day, and it was Jeff Bezos, who was talking about, our biggest regrets are acts of omission. So like not doing that thing, like that's our biggest regret. Like thinking, not if we did that thing and it failed, but like not doing it, not jumping and taking that risk. So
that was a huge part of us.
No, and that was like, you basically like hit the nail on the head with like, that was my reaction when I was even thinking about that job. Yeah. I was like, I've been wanting to do music as my career for pretty much my entire life. Mm-hmm. And when I was in college, I lived up in the Kansas City area, and there is a venue over in Lawrence, Kansas. It's about 45 minutes from where I live. It's called the Granada. And people listening here might know what that place is. It's in Lawrence, Kansas. But I saw tons of shows there throughout my time living in the Kansas City area. And I remember in 2016, I went and saw Johnny Swim show. And it was like my second time seeing him at the Granada. The first time was like a small acoustic show. Second time they sold it out. And I remember watching that on the stage and going, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Yeah. And it was I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but that's what I'm going to do. I was like, and one experience in life led to another, to meeting, Sam and the rest of these guys that we ended up turning into this. And now I'm getting to do what I wanted to do and what I told myself at, 22 years old, I'm gonna do that. And, it's like those things in your life where you say like, I'm definitely gonna go do that, and then it never happens. It's like always the biggest fear for me, because I feel like so many times you're like, yeah, it's like this is gonna happen, I'm gonna do like that or whatever, and you tell some people, and then circumstances happen or whatever, and it doesn't happen, and you're like, I told all these people I was gonna do this, and now I look like a failure, or whatever. But it was like this one was just something that, again, like at that time I was like, I believe in this and I want to continue to work at it. And I said, I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I walk away now. But if I stay and go to the end, I said, even if we crash and burn, I'll never. I just knew in that moment in my heart, I was like, if I ever left, I was like, that would be the biggest thing I ever regret in my life. Yeah. And so it was like realizing that. And then, because sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself. Sometimes it's not working out. And you do need to find a career change. You got to pay rent. It's like, you got a car payment and insurance. Like, sometimes you do have to do that. But, within this experience, there have been tough times where it was like, man, it's hard to pay bills when you're not getting paid by music.
Right.
And you're out of town every weekend and you're only getting your work. And it's like, and then you're tired all week at work just from being on the road. And it's like, but you push through that to go, no, this is worth it. Like, I see the success, like, at the end of the tunnel. Like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And so it was just like pushing through that to be able to go like, okay, like, we're actually doing this now. Like, the majority of us don't have jobs anymore.
Yeah.
We work very, part-time outside of playing music. And that is a huge opportunity in itself that to the majority of musicians is just not afforded. Yeah. And, we've been very, blessed that we've gotten that opportunity at the time, in the time frame that we have, to be able to say like, hey, like our bass player Andrew, like, he just quit his job like a week and a half ago.
Oh, nice.
It was his last day, and it was his last day before we went up to Oklahoma and everything. And it was like, we're like, man, like, he's like, we can do this. He's like, me and my wife are happy, and it's like, we'll be able to survive. And we're super blessed to be able to afford that to our band members, to say like, hey man, like, you can be able to pay rent this month just for, playing music with us. And, that's just like a huge factor. Why so many people can't take the jump to do music full time is because it's like getting that structure underneath to get a foundation of, some source of income is, very difficult how they set it up.
Right.
In the music industry, like I said, we've been lucky with the numbers and everything that's happened. And it's not to say like, our music, it's not music doing it or anything, it's all luck, but there's luck within everything. I've heard, like within everything, because, we've heard songs from artists who, you've never heard of, and you're like, that's one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. Like, how does nobody love this? And, it's like, just those things where you like end up getting put in front of the right audience, and
right place, right time, man.
Yeah.
A little bit of luck.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. That's life.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Hard work equals a lot of luck sometimes too. Putting yourself in the right rooms in the right space.
That's true.
So it's interesting though. I was going to talk to you guys about this because the music industry, the landscape in general, is kind of changing, right? You obviously have Nashville, and you have the music machine per se, right? You have LA and Nashville and kind of these music scenes that are driven by, large corporations and record labels. And then you have this other side of music that's really starting to kind of take flight and give a lot of, I would say autonomy or, power back to the artists themselves in the independent music scene. I mean, my friend Cody Johnson, you've seen what he was able to do in selling 60,000 at Houston as an independent artist. And you've seen a lot of other guys that are kind of shifting that model with the reach that social media has and all of these different, aspects and avenues of creating revenue. So for y'all, have you had conversations around, I'm sure record labels are starting to knock on the door, or what's that look like for you guys right now currently?
I mean, it's very real. We have been approached several times by some very big labels.
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things where if the deal works and the deal makes sense with what we're trying to do, then we're all ears.
Yep.
Really. But at the same time too, there are people that are out here that act like they're trying to be your friend and they make you feel really, really good. And you know, a lot of these deals, sometimes they'll put them on the table and you'll say, damn, that's almost too good to be true. Well, probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the philosophy I've always lived with. And so we've been really fortunate that we've kind of held our ground on a few and drew our line in the sand and said, this is where we're at. If you don't want to be there with us, then, you know, thanks for the offer, but we'll pass. And we're here right now on business in regards to that. So I don't know how much I can say on that as of right now, but it's a proposition that we're very, very comfortable with. Made by people who have made a good impression on us. And so we're going to go ahead and use this time here to discuss those things. And we'll see where it takes us. But it is. I mean, in this business, you need to keep the grass cut.
100%.
And you know, so you can see those types of people out there and identify them before they come, because they will. They will come and they will take the food right from out of your mouth if you're not careful. And you know, Jelly Roll is a great example of that. You were talking about the documentary. You know, that's a guy who's been doing this forever, and I think he's kind of done the same thing we've done. Where I'm sure he's had plenty of people now come up to him and try to put shit in his ear, but I think he's been having that his entire life. And you know, he grew up in this, basically in this city. And he's seen a lot of it, and I'm sure he's had a lot of friends who have been fucked over. And you know, it's good to have that, because it can kind of help you build up a wall to a point to where you know this is what to look out for. These are the pits that I need to avoid, and it'll help you out in the long run. So thankfully, we haven't had any experiences that have hit us too hard.
Well, again, I think it goes back to having the right people around you.
Exactly.
You know, it's like our business manager, Eli, you know, his one sole care is like, I want to make sure you guys are protected. He's like, I want to make sure that nobody's trying to sneak anything by you or anything like that. And then he's like always, for any of us, the person of reason, where it's like, you know, we may get real excited, you know, about an offer, an opportunity, and then, a lot of stuff seems the best on paper. And then, you know, then he's like, well, hey, think about, you know, this and that. And, you know, before we knew it, we were 10 steps ahead. And it's like, okay, maybe we need to take a few steps back. And, you know, having those people in your life, I mean, who truly care, you know, he truly cares about each and every one of us. Anyway, he's been a close friend of ours, you know, my entire life. Jeremiah, who's known him his entire life. So it's like, and he's family, you know, so it's like within that of just like having somebody who is always just like, I'm in the business with you, but like I'm here to protect, you know, and having a shepherd out there basically, you know, because sometimes it's, you know, people can whisper some sweet things and lead you astray. So having somebody to really back in and, you know, be like, hey man, like, sit back for a minute, like, don't let everything, you know, it's like all that, those different things of just like, again, having the right people in your life to be able to call things out and be like, hey man, you know, what are you doing over there? Like, you know, it's like, that's unhealthy. You know, it's within every aspect of your life, whether it's music, you know, fitness, or, you know, your career, having those people around to speak into your life and have guidance, you know, having mentors, someone who's been through, you know, where you're trying to get through, to being like, hey, I had that pitfall, like, you definitely want to avoid that. You know, having somebody like that is extremely helpful and beneficial to us.
It's been a chore trying to keep the wolves away, man. But I mean, with success, you know, that's what happens. You know, there are people that are trying to come and get a piece of you, and just gotta stick to your guns and you know, keep good people around you, and you'll be alright.
I'm glad y'all are doing that, because it does seem like, you know, a crazy environment to be in, and I think it seems like you got a good system in place to be able to have that discipline to, you know, look through everything with a fine-tooth comb and have good people in your corner, and, you know, make sure that it's really the long-term best opportunity for y'all. And when that money filters through a lot of different hands, you know, then it comes back out to the people who are doing all the work and who, went 2 years without pay and
Yeah.
made all these sacrifices, right? It's a fucked up industry sometimes, but I'm glad you guys are going through that, and just well deserved, obviously, getting the attention that it has.
Yeah, and I think right now our team, there's been a lot of people who have came and gone, but I think right now the team we've got assembled right now is some of the strongest individuals we've ever had to work with, so we're thankful for that too.
Absolutely. So playing tomorrow, a big thing that I feel like I've seen trend throughout a lot of your music and just seeing a lot of the comments from the fans and stuff is going to a live show. Right? Obviously people are loving the music, they're streaming it, but going to a live show really like brings in and kind of bridges the gap of like you listening to this artist so much and finally going and get to see them live. And I feel like y'all really have that energy and that stage presence. Lance, you talked about in one of our previous episodes too, just talking about being on stage and how you have memories that attach with songs and different things, and like when you're in person, maybe even with that person that you have the memory with, it just brings together a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
So kind of what is the energy or the presence that you all bring to shows, and how has that changed as the rooms have started to kind of get bigger?
Yeah, I mean, our shows have always tried to be high energy. I mean, the thing is, you get back what you put in. So if we're up on stage and we have high energy, the crowd sees that and they're like, oh, it's kind of a mirror effect.
Yeah.
And so as the crowds have gotten bigger, the shows have gotten better, because the more people you have interacting, the more energy you get from them, and that gives you a better show, in my opinion. So the fact that we've been having all these sold out crowds and large crowds has just, I think, made our show better. It's made us as showmen better.
Yeah.
Because, and we really do put a lot of thought and work into our show. And, in between songs, plenty of crowd interaction.
Yes.
Especially, have some little stories leading up to the song, because some of those people, you can create your own story of what the song's about, but hearing from the artist kind of what they were thinking or what their perspective of the song, of what the song is about, really kind of helps them understand it maybe a little bit more, maybe gain a new perspective on the song itself. I'm like, wow, I never really thought it was really about that. It turns out it was about this. Or just like a story of, it could have been like a funny story of how a song came to be, that, and that also helps it feel more personal to the fans.
Yeah.
So our shows are a huge, big old party, man.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Basically, it's like, we're like, pretty much every time we're getting ready to go on, we're in the circle and it's like, let's get fucking rowdy.
Yeah.
And it's, because for us, I've been going to shows, most of my life, and it's like, you watch all different types of shows from all different types of artists and see different things, and it was like, for us, we all were just like, we like those high energy, moving around and like interacting and everything. Because everybody's music and show doesn't have to be, and it doesn't need to be the same. Honestly, everybody, everybody's got to find what works for them. Just because us being high energy works for us doesn't mean it works for
another guy.
Yeah, it's like, if we went up and played Zach Bryan's set with how we do things, it'd sound very different.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just those things. But every artist, I'm like, feel free to glean any information you want from our shows. Of like, if you want to try doing what we do, go for it, because it may work for y'all. And our whole thing, from starting to play shows till now, especially in the beginning, was just like, what do we even do? Like, for the first 6 to 8 months, we were almost too scared to like move from the spot we were rooted to while we were playing. So it was like, that took time for everybody to get over, nerves of playing in front of people, and it's like, I don't want to mess up, and it's like, at that time, no one even knew our music anyways. So if we messed up, no one would even know. But you gotta like go through those experiences of that and try those new things out, and try like, hey, what if we tried adding this to the show? Or what if we tried doing this as an intro to that song? And it was like, those little things are just kind of slowly added on as we go, to create the show that we want. And it's like, even as we're like preparing for this next album to come out and we're piecing together, a new show, it's like we're, already, putting together ideas of like, hey, where we think these songs should go, transitions. I mean, these are just like all things like that to us are very important because we want that whole show to be an experience of just like, you get to come and just like, you get to just have fun. Like, it's like, that's what we want it to be. We don't want to be like, this is weird now. It's like, we have a goal in mind when we go out on that stage and, we do our best to accomplish it.
Yeah. A big part of like growing into it is realizing, especially with these big crowds, like it's taken me a long time to tell myself like these people are here for you.
Yeah.
Like they're here to watch you. Like literally whatever you do on that stage, people are probably gonna like it because they're all here to see you. They're here to listen to the music. They're here to have a good time. So the main thing that I always have to kind of tell myself before each show is go out there and have fun with it, man. Because if you're not having fun with it, the crowd's gonna smell that and they're gonna pick up on it. But as far as the shows go, these people pay good money to hear you perform the songs. Otherwise they could just put it on some good speakers at the house and grab a couple beers and listen to it there. You know what I mean? So as a part of building the show, that was one of our goals was how can we do this and make it an experience for them that's something that they wouldn't get if they just stayed at home listening to the music. And that means, playing the songs different, singing the songs different, moving around, having little bits here and there to throw in. And we really try, I've really tried to work on the show. I'll watch other people's live shows. And, even now when I go to live shows, it's almost like watching like a highlight tape or something like that.
Yeah,
watching tape.
Taking notes, dude.
Yeah, it's like watching tape in football. Like, I like how that guy did that. How can I take that and make that my own? And, you take moments in the show that are supposed to be high energy and make them high energy. And then some songs you want them to be a little bit more intimate. Yeah. So maybe we bring it down a little bit and kind of simplify it, and then we can build it up into something higher energy.
Right.
But it's part of those things where you look at other people's shows, how other people react, put them all together, make them your own. And I think we've done that, and we've made that a good show. And for playing the music that we have out now, I think we're at the point where our show is pretty consistent and it works. And now with this new record, it's like a completely new challenge. So, it's kind of funny once you finally get the first show down right, you're already having to exit and plan another show. So
that's life. Yeah.
And I think this time, and now it's nice, to have the experience, and we've seen, how people react to things and how they interact with us, out on the road. So it's like to use that prior knowledge, to be like, how can we make it even better for them the next time they come see a show? Yeah. And it's like, and I mean, even just at every show, it's like, we're all very critical of our show. Like when we get off, someone might be like, that's the best show I've ever seen. And we're like, that was like, we were like, we felt horrible up there. Cause it's like, it's like one thing can snowball into another in your head. You can get so inside your head. I mean, we did a show back in, July, I guess, in San Angelo, and everything went wrong for everyone. I mean, from
Murphy's Law.
From the downbeat. I mean, that was the first show where, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was causing things to go in and out. And we're just like playing and we're just trying to get through it. I'm like our team, Blake is running around trying to fix what he can, and he fixed everything that he could fix in his power. I had some pedal board problems that ended up being the issue for my stuff. But when I was standing there, when I would stand in a certain position, my guitar would go out, but when I would move away, it wouldn't. So I thought it was where I was standing or my guitar or something that was when you've got 30 different problem areas, you just get in your head. And then I'm sitting there I gotta play these songs and sing them. It's you go through those moments and it's
humbles you.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Because it's hey man, we've been really fortunate that, the majority of our shows, we haven't really run into, many technical issues. And so, but, even though we had, a show with technical difficulties from start to finish, it was like, we all talked about it later, like, hey, even though that wasn't our best show, we were like, everyone did a great job holding together and making sure we didn't fall apart. Like, that was the first time in a long time, I think probably in 2 years, that we almost fell apart in the middle of a song.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe like, I mean, because it's so fast in the moment, like for us it feels like forever.
Right.
But like,
a lot of people probably didn't.
no, and that's the thing, it's like, nobody knows, but for us, like, all we're doing is freaking out, like, everybody's probably like, what the hell are they doing? Why does it sound so bad? Like, and it's like, nobody's, it's like, people are enjoying the show and the performance, and like, sometimes you just like, even when everything is going wrong, you still have to like, just like, the reset button, like, step back, and because I mean, you can easily overthink and overwork yourself trying to fix a problem that's very, very simple, that you're looking all around it. And then, once you take that step back, it was fine to like, I mean, we had, I think, like 2 songs left in the set. I like sat back and I like looked at my board and I was like, what could possibly be like the problem child?
Yeah.
And then it was like, just a couple things, boom, it's fine, it's working. And it was like taking that step back and like clearing my head for a second, and we just had a moment of just like, a moment of like downtime in the show I had a moment of downtime in the show. Everybody else was, working hard. It's like, but trying to like figure that out in the moment is like, it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's like,
and thankfully we have a good enough team to where, if you can tell somebody's struggling or something's going on, we're really good at communicating on stage. Being like, hey, what's up? Like, what's your problem? And then they'll be like, I got this. Like, you gotta do something. And I'll cover for somebody, or Andrew can cover for somebody.
Yeah,
It's just redistribution of the weight.
Yeah.
And thankfully we've had so many of those screw ups early on to now we kind of have an idea of like a emergency plan on what to do when that kind of shit strikes. So, and it's good. And it's like you said, like, no, it was so minuscule because it feels like forever. It was so minuscule to the people. They're like, we didn't even know. And it brings you back to, they're there for you. They know that, it's not going to be perfect every time. People fuck up.
Yeah.
And, it works.
but yeah, I mean, that's another thing, I love. It's like, even if we mess up, like, we'll mess up on stage and then we just make jokes about it. Like, to the crowd, Sam will just hop on the mic and like crack a joke or whatever. Like, it's like, if anything happens, like, even if a fuck up happens, it's like, we'll try and just twist it to where it's like, we don't have to be awkward and like, ooh, like, don't look at me right now. It's like, oh man, we're all human. We all mess up. Like, just because I wrote the song doesn't mean I'm going to play it perfect every time. It's like, it's like, you mess up, you're human. It's like, and you push past it. And I think that's one thing that I really enjoy with us is like, we've just grown to where it's like, don't let the little things throw you off. Like, the little bumps in the road, just let it go right past you. Don't let it touch you. Because little bumps are going to happen all the time. And, this goes to life and music and everything. It's like, those little bumps, they can add up very quickly if you start to focus on it. Because you start to get to, you can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah. It's almost better that you all had, you had those early situations where you can now have that nonverbal communication, be able to be calm under pressure, been there, done that kind of thing. Because if you hadn't had those, situations by now, you'd be like just waiting for something to go wrong so you kind of see how you react to it.
I'd be like, what show's going to be? Probably one of the ones I'm like, that's the most important show.
You need that early on for sure.
Yeah.
So, it's even worked out like to our advantage sometimes. Like, I remember we played that show at the Blue Light and the entire sound system went out except for our instruments.
Yeah.
And I literally had to tell like everybody off mic, like, scream as loud as I can. I said, I can't sing. Like, and they're like, fuck it, like, keep going. We'll sing the songs like for you. Like, don't worry about it. And literally, we played the whole rest of the show, and the entire crowd sang back.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And it was like, at that point, I think that was the first time I was like, holy shit, like,
this is a thing. This is a thing.
Yeah. And so,
it's not just a bunch of rowdy, like, drunk college kids who just want to party. It's like, these are people who actually, like your music and love it and want to be a part of the experience.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what, so much of it is, any artist that we love, it's like, man, I love to go see artists play live because it's like I love their music and you want to experience, you know, the show. And it's like,
and that's part of the show too. Is like a live show. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. Something like some crazy weird moment could happen, and like it will never happen. Like you could never recreate it. It could never happen at another show. It just happened in that moment, and those people got to like walk away from that and be like, man, that was like the craziest shit I've ever seen. And it'll probably never happen again. And I was right there.
Yeah.
what it reminds me of is the two chicks fighting in the bathroom before show. They ripped the sink off the wall. In a fight. Like we were like first song, like we had just started and like we finished the song and there's a huge commotion over here in the corner and there's like cops all of a sudden and we're up there and we're like,
chicks going
what's going on? And then like two girls are just being taken out in handcuffs and we're like,
hell of a way to start the show.
all right, everybody was like,
It's gonna be one of those nights.
It was just like, I mean, but it's a live show. You never know what's gonna happen. It's like, you know, those things are just, you never, it's always just, it's always a good time. It keeps it fresh.
Yeah, 100%. Let's call it a shot. I know you'll have a busy couple of days here in Nashville, and this won't be the first time you're here. I'm super pumped to have you in Nashville. I mean,
absolutely.
I have a feeling it's going to become very close to home here coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But let's call our shot here. Within the next year or two, it seems like we paced these out. We did 2020. I think the last one before this was like 21. Yeah, 21. Yeah. So now 2 years later, say in the next year or two, we do another one of these. What's a goal that we're going to set here on the show today that, you know, we're going to be able to come back and say, we called our shot, Treaty Oak 23?
Well, first off, I want to come out with this new album.
Yeah.
Maybe another one before we get back on this pod. And, you know, about a month ago, we got our chance to play our first arena show with Coat Wetzel. And that was pretty crazy. That was like a whole new level to this shit that we never thought we would ever get to do. So hopefully by the next time we see you, maybe we start playing a couple arenas or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know if we would sell them out, but it would be nice that maybe we get some opportunities to play some arena shows.
Yeah, there you go. I love that.
Maybe graduate to the next level. Basically, I just hope we're at the next level the next time you see you, man. And you know, I just you know, let's say 2 million monthly listeners next time.
There we go.
And maybe a spot at the Ryman and a spot at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Those are two hell of spots right there.
Yeah, I agree with those last two statements with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my hope would be that the majority, you know, we've got, you know, fans commenting all the time, you know, come to Ohio, come to Arizona, come to California, come to Oregon, come to Washington, Utah. I mean, all of these states that we get to hit. I mean, we're babies in this. Like, Nashville is like our 6th state that we've been to play music, and so it's like I wanna get out there because, like, you know, bigger tour, longer.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say like my goal is definitely like I would love to do like, you know, it's a 3-month tour run, you know, where it's like headlining and doing that, you know, across the U.S. or U.S. and Canada or whatever, or maybe outside the country. That would be sweet. I don't know if that would happen that quickly, but you never know. So that would be a dream though. I know Jeremiah wants to play Ireland really, really bad.
Yeah.
And
I want to play Australia.
yeah, I'd love to play Australia. A good friend of mine from college lives over in Perth. He's got a band out there called Helena. They're pretty awesome to listen to. They're fun. They've got a couple songs out there new, but I'm like, I gotta go hit Western Australia and Perth. We go see my boy Nathan.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's when something catches fire, you know, it's hard to put it out, and y'all are definitely on that trend. And, I mean, I believe that. I believe all of it. It'll happen. It'll happen really well.
we believe. We hope and believe.
Yeah, I mean, so far, man, we've set goals, and we always try to do that at the beginning of each new year. Is where we set a year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year goal plan, and so far we've blown all of our goals out of the water since last year. So.
Yeah, well, yeah. At the end of last year, I mean, heck, even this time last year, compared to where we are now, was just like a very different place. And so, like, you know, it was like October, November last year, we kind of did that 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. And it was like, you know, for this year, I think our goal was like, we wanted to play at least like 3 to maybe 5 festivals over the course of the year. And we played 5 festivals in like the first like month and a half. It was like, you know, which was awesome because it was like, we had goals set and we got to see ourselves completing them. And like, there's another thing too, I mean, you know, and we definitely set like some high and lofty dreams, but then we also were like, hey, let's be realistic with our goals because, you know, it's easy to set goals a little bit further than they need to be and then get discouraged. Yeah. And so it's like, and it's not like we're like, let's get 10 streams a day. Like, you know, it's like we're setting real goals of like, things that we want to happen that we know we can reach within a year, and to see ourselves reach some of those goals quicker than that has been crazy to us. And just to be afforded the opportunity to continue to do this and it's not lost. I appreciate it so much.
That's the thing is like as far as goals go, like me especially, I've already met like all the goals that I originally had starting this thing. So anything from here on is just gravy on top, man. Yeah. So, and you know, we're just so lucky to be able to be in the position we're in and to do what we do, that as long as we get to still keep doing what we're doing in the future, I'll be happy with that. But man, you know, now that you get there, there's still more goals on the horizon, new goals.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's a great thing to do in any regard of life, is to set those goals. Because I mean, if you're not working towards something, what are you working for? Right. You know, I mean, you don't set a goal. It's like, it's those things of like setting those goals and being consistent in your work on it. I mean, like we talked about earlier, you speak on all the time, is that consistency is key. You know, and you know, it's like, just recently I heard it was like the 100-hour rule or whatever, where it's like, you know, you spend 15, 18 minutes a day working on something for an entire year. You know, that short amount of time, you'll see over a year so much growth. And it's like, you know, we've been putting a lot more than 18 minutes in a day over the past couple of years. So, that's such an amazing thing to look back and go, man, we can see the growth from the work. You know, it's not like we just put a song out and it was a #1 first time out and then, you know, whatever. It's like, no man, like we're consistently working at our music and working at our live shows to put out at the time the best thing we can. You know, so it's like getting ready for this new album, like listening to some of the tracks, I'm like, this just sounds so good. The quality of it, I was just like, was raised above just, you know, what you're used to hearing on the first album. And so it's like very exciting to just see that. And especially like some of the songs that, you know, we haven't really played a whole lot together outside of rehearsing for recording. It's like listening back, I'm like, it sounds like us, but then I'm like, it doesn't sound like us, because it's like, you know, we're still fresh on those songs. And so it's like, you're in that experience of like, you're listening to your own music, but you're like, this is weird that this is us. It's like, you know, but it's exciting to see the growth that we've all had, just with everyone's ability, you know, musically and then everywhere else in life.
Well, I love it. I love what y'all are doing, and the growth is going to continue. If anyone listening here hasn't checked out Trio Revival, go check them out on anywhere you can listen to music. Go catch them in the next city when they come to rock a show near you. Guys, can we give a rough date of when the new album comes? Is that allowed? Am I breaking rules here? You can tell me.
It's not like there's necessarily any rules. I mean, there's nobody telling us we can't say anything. But like, we just found it's a little easier to not give exact dates.
Keep the surprise. Yeah, things can always push.
Yeah, I guess, especially with this album, like this was our 3rd time recording. Like this is the 3rd time that we've, or at least for some of the parts, and so it's like, it was like we were like, yeah, this album's gonna be on April.
Yeah.
Well, maybe like June. It's like, you know, it's like, and maybe we should stop saying anything about the album for a little bit until we get things like figured out. But it's like, I mean, it is fully done being recorded now. I'm comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
And it's been sent off for mixing and mastering.
Yeah.
So,
amazing. So coming soon.
We're hoping over the next month or 2, we'll get everything back. And we are truly shooting before the end of this year,
Yeah.
and hopefully before December.
Yeah.
For sure. That'd be about the
That
closest
works.
timing.
That works.
But yeah, definitely don't want to push it back to next year at all. So that was definitely something we were looking for when it was like, who's going to make some master? We were like, what's your timeline on everything?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, we're really excited. Obviously, I know a lot of fans are really excited for it as well. And, we can't wait to get it out for you to hear it. But it's just taking a little longer than
It's all good. Good things come to those who wait.
Sure. And thank you for having us on this podcast.
Absolutely.
It's been, you're such a great guy, and congrats on all the success with this thing. I know you've been putting your work in on yours and growing this shit to what it's become now. So thank you for having us on, man. And you're such a cool guy, and we love doing this podcast. We love what this podcast probably does for other people and the message behind it. So it was great to be able to actually come here and see that.
Meet you in person this
I
time.
agree.
Let's shake your hand.
Yeah, no, it's been a blessing, man. It's been super cool keeping up with y'all. Obviously you getting married and birthdays and all that fun stuff, man. It's been great, getting to know y'all and see the rise, see the success. It's well deserved. So I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all know what the drill is. Go listen, go check them out when they come to your city. Expect big things from Trio Revival.